want to keep making sure that I make time to do research stuff like this. It's been a really long time since I gave you guys a tour of my bookshelves. We are still querying, a little glimmer in there of inspiration for something with the next story. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence. Hello everyone and welcome back to another vlog. Today is going to be a refilling the creative well sort of day. I submitted my queries for Project Teacup. I think this week marks 4 weeks since I submitted the very first query. It's been a journey so far. I'll get into it soon, we'll chat about it later. But today is about creativity and I had a bunch of stuff I wanted to do today, so I wanted to bring you guys with me and vlog because it's been a while since I did a kind of day in my life vlog. I haven't made breakfast yet. I feel like today is a good day for pancakes.
Romantic poetry and prose too. Francis's brother's name was John Polidori. Shelley's new paramour, Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin, later Mary Shelley. So there we go, that was Christina Rossetti's uncle, though he died before she was born. Better as Dante Gabriel Rossetti. In this, by all accounts, happy childhood included chess, trips to the zoo, and putting out a family newspaper. Cecilia never went to school without her gladiator. Perhaps blending the routine and everyday and actual with something from history. It's like saying, whenever I brush my teeth, the T-Rex puts the paste on my brush. That her younger brother doesn't say that she lost her spirit or her energy faded or she matured into something less stormy.
Right, I'm making pancakes. I've made these. I put some like chia seeds in them just to add a bit of texture. I don't know, I've gotten into putting chia seeds in things just randomly. Also doing that thing where I collect peanut butter jars because to my mind I'm like, I'm buying the peanut butter anyway, I might as well reuse the jars, and if I buy the same brand of peanut butter then they all match. I am gearing up to start working on new projects soon. However, my headspace is very much still in Project Teacup land, and oh my god, querying has been such a roller coaster already. It's been 4 weeks. I've submitted to something like 20 agents. I've had some responses, I've had some rejections. We won't get into it in this particular video because I'm very much in the thick of it still. I should say before I start getting into all of this, if you're new here, hello, my name is Christy. I wrote a fantasy novel, an adult fantasy novel called Project Teacup. I recently finished it and I submitted it to agents. I'm currently querying it. This is kind of the crunch time for the book because it's like, well, if it doesn't get an agent, then that's pretty tricky. And obviously being a person who wants to be traditionally published, I need to get used to rejection and going through this process and dealing with this. But the thing is that when you care so much about something and you're finally in the process where you're like giving it to people and some people are saying like, oh, you know, it's not for me, which is normal, that happens. It can be quite a stressful journey. And with the way that my brain works, I find it very tough to compartmentalize things like this. But the thing is that I need to, because I want to get started on the next creative projects that I want to be working on. So that's why I'm doing this whole situation today. I want to spend a day where I really like go out, make some time for myself. I'm gonna go to the library today and just have a fun creative day basically, because I need it. I need to take my mind off of this book because the process of querying is driving me nuts. This was me all week and also today a little bit. Yeah, that's how I'm going. So recently I've been going down a massive Christina Rossetti rabbit hole and I'd never really heard of her before, but then I was in the bookstore with a friend of mine and I saw this book, which is Goblin Market, which is a very famous poem by her. And I loved the cover of it so much and it just spoke to me and I thought it was really beautiful. And I left the bookstore and I didn't get the book because I was like, oh, it's not on my TBR, it's not on my immediate list of things to read. But I kept thinking about this cover and I went home and I looked up the book and I researched a little bit about Christina Rossetti and it looked really interesting to me. So I ended up going back to the bookstore and getting the book and have read the poem. I've started listening to podcasts about the poem. I started reading about the poem. There are little bits of this book that might be inspiring things story-wise, so I kind of want to explore that today. And then on top of that, I've also been getting into, I'm gonna have to put my pancakes down again, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I think this is having a bit of a renaissance at the moment. It came out like a really long time ago, and now I'm seeing a lot of people trying out this like 12-week journaling challenge. It's not really a challenge, but it's like, it's a method to follow. Anyway, I'm giving it a go. Part of The Artist's Way is that you do the morning pages every day, which is like 3 pages of kind of stream of consciousness writing. But the other side of this is that you're also supposed to every week have a 2-hour artist date, which I think is quite a time commitment really, especially when you have busy people. The 2-hour artist date is supposed to nourish your inner artist, and you're supposed to do something creative and fun and not put a lot of pressure on yourself. And so today I'm going to be doing my artist date for this week. I'm going to go to the library, I'm going to read for 2 hours, I'm going to see if I can find some textbooks on Christina Rossetti. I've already looked up on library search and there are a couple on my list, so fingers crossed they're there. Going to the library, doing some research stuff is gonna be really good. Like really, really good. Let's read about Christina Rossetti. That sounds fun. I need to stop sitting here and checking my emails, especially because the time it is in Australia is currently when no agents that I've submitted to are awake because they're all in the UK or America. So anyway, let's go. Hello, VoiceOver Christy here to thank the wonderful sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Squarespace is a website builder which allows people to create amazing websites super quickly. I've been using Squarespace for 3 years now, and honestly, I could not be happier with it as a platform. The site was so easy to set up in the first place, and it's also very easy to maintain and keep looking lovely. One of my favorite things about the site are the e-commerce features. They make running a shop so simple and hassle-free. Squarespace also uses Fluid Engine, which is a next generation website design system that makes it so easy to design the perfect website aesthetically. If you're looking to make a website, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/ChristyAnnJones to save 10% off your purchase of a website or domain. I'm in the gardens. I've been wandering around for a while. It's spring here, obviously. I'm in Australia, the Southern Hemisphere. I know most of you guys are in the Northern Hemisphere, and you're going into autumn, and every time this happens, I get so jealous because I love the autumn time. It's my favorite season. But we're coming into spring, and it's starting to get warm, and there's lots of very beautiful flowers around and it's stunning. But I do already miss the colder months. We actually came to these gardens last Monday because one of my best friends, Missy, is a really talented photographer, and I've never had professional photos taken, and I was like, maybe that's something I should do so that I have some professional looking photos for my website. So I asked her, and the photos were so good. She did such a good job. She's so talented. But we came here and we took photos underneath that tree I just showed you, and it's only been like a week and a half, and already the tree has lost almost all of its blossoms. It's got all of these leaves now. I had a really nice reading session in the library. I read a bunch of the first book, and then mostly I just read the chapter I needed to for that second book. I want to keep making sure that I make time to do research stuff like this. I always find it quite challenging being self-employed, and spending time at the library reading doesn't feel like it directly translates to work, but it's so important. As I said, I've been going down a massive Christina Rossetti tangent recently. I loved Goblin Market so much when I read it. I've reread it now 3 times, actually technically 4, because I did listen to that podcaster read it out to me as well. The gears in my brain are slowly starting to turn for the next project. I don't feel quite ready to start the next thing, but it's now been a month since I finished Project Teacup, and I feel like I need to move on. And I feel like if I do move on from Project Teacup, that's going to be the thing that helps me the very most in terms of not obsessing over the querying process, because some people query for like a year. Some people spend a really long time querying. Like, I've been getting messages, like beautiful messages from people, and I so appreciate it, asking for updates, and it's like, this process takes a long time. And then if you do get an agent, the submission process to publishers can be really, really long as well. And so publishing, book writing, book publishing just moves at a glacial pace. And I'm really starting to realize how fortunate I was with A Year in Tōkyō, because that was self-published, and the immediacy of that was really good, and I really liked it because I'm so impatient. I'm trying to essentially treat this time with as much patience as I can, and to try to use it as a learning opportunity to, I don't know, make myself more patient. I'm trying to find the positives in all of this, because as I've said, I feel really stressed about this situation, and in the grand scheme of things, there's not that many things to be stressed about. This has been such a wonderful year so far this year. We're getting into the final phase of the year, and we have a bunch more travel coming up, and there's been so many amazing wins for me from a work perspective, and it's been such a wonderful year. But because I feel like so much of the work I've done over the past 8 years of my life, 10 years of my life has led to this moment of querying this novel, it just feels really, really dramatic and epic, and I feel very stressed about it. And I'm trying to learn how to just not be stressed, to just be okay with whatever's going to happen. And whatever happens with Project Teacup and all of my querying woes and this whole journey, whatever happens there, it's like, I'm just going to need a new novel anyway. If the book gets published, I'm going to need a new novel. If the book doesn't get published, I'm still going to need a new novel. So yeah, I'm trying to self-soothe, get through this stress of agents and rejection and all of the stress of this time, and start getting the creative gears turning again. I hope that you've been able to hear me this whole time. Anyway, it is well past lunchtime. I'm super hungry, and I'm going to head home and go make some lunch. But it's been nice reading in the library and wandering around these gardens. I love the sound of birds so much. I thought together we could get started on this nonsense here. All of the books I have left over from my video that I filmed the other day, which was all of the books I've ever given 5 stars. That was a mammoth video. It took a lot of work. It was like an hour and 45 minutes of me talking. I don't know how to be concise, and so it's like, it was a lot of editing work basically. But I need to put these books away because they'll sit there forever if I don't make a concerted effort to put them away. So let's do that together. Let me get a lamp. Oh, there we go. Very spooky and cozy. We have so many books to put away. It's been a really long time since I gave you guys a tour of my bookshelves, but I don't know if it's been enough time for me to do a whole video on it. Here we are. Let's start putting some of these away. Because I only recently read Mexican Gothic, I don't have a home for this one yet. I think this belongs next to Angela Carter. Now, my bookshelves don't really have a system. They do have a system. They have a system. However, it's a system that would make sense to no one else but me. Loosely, it's ordered by genre and then by vibe. So like, this is Gothic, absolutely this is Gothic, but it's also a contemporary book. But because it feels very Angela Carter, it's gonna go next to Angela Carter. Like, there's no alphabetization going on. This will go here, next to the Virago Book of Witches, and then next to the Angela Carter section, which is next to the Neil Gaiman section. It just feels like Neil Gaiman should sit next to Angela Carter because the two of them are my favorite authors. So we've got Neil Gaiman, Angela Carter, then we spread into Gothic, and then we go into contemporary books, and then we go into like classics and modernist books. And then we've got more classics, and then a bunch of these are translation books. And then the biggest change I've made recently is that the big white bookcase on the left-hand side of my desk is now Japanese fiction, so Japanese books in translation. So all of the non-fiction books, poetry, and Japanese books in translation are over there. And also these ones are rainbow colors. So basically what I'm saying is it's chaos, but I know where everything is. This is the other bookshelf I was talking about. I've recently changed the way this bookshelf is configured. So that top shelf used to be a lot lower and I used to have pictures and stuff up there, but I wanted more space for books, and so I rearranged this bookshelf, which is over here. Fantasy. Oh, normally this one goes in the other shelf, but it's fantasy. We'll see where we put it. Oh no, I put it on this shelf normally now. And then we have the final bookshelf in this apartment. This is the one that we've had the longest. These are all fantasy books and the selected poems of Emily Dickinson. That should go over here. Children's / middle grade are all up here. Neil Gaiman. This is children's, but this should be in the Neil Gaiman section. Here is the final configuration. We have picture books, some Japanese textbooks, graphic novels all down here, art supply stuff, Japanese fiction in translation, and also books in Japanese. We have up here non-fiction books, and then poetry books and reference books, and then a whole bunch of Lego above it. And then on this side we have a bunch of Tyler's books. There are some of my books down here, but we have this shelf which is kind of a fantasy overflow shelf, my like curated fantasy bookshelf, and my children's and middle grade shelf, and then a bunch of other stuff up the top like my silver play button. Finally we have the main bookshelf. I say main bookshelf because this is the bookshelf you guys probably see the most because of where I film. This is my favorite bookshelf. It's so pretty. I love it to absolute bits. It also has a bunch of Lego on top, classics, contemporary books, and then random higgledy-piggledy more classics, my like gothic witchy books, Angela Carter, Neil Gaiman, and those are my bookshelves. it has been a really lovely day. I loved getting to read in the library today and just do a bunch of fun, peaceful stuff. I feel like I really needed this day from a creative perspective. I've talked so much about my self-employment journey and what it's been like. It is a constant learning process. I'm always learning how to get better at being self-employed, at being my own boss, at having such an unstructured workload. I have been now doing this for like 2 years, I think, and I'm still trying to work out how to best make it all work and how to juggle everything properly. And especially this year, because we've been doing so much travel. Like, I've done so much travel for work this year, and so trying to learn how to juggle everything in addition to travel has been a wonderful experience, but also like quite tiring. We're just gonna get through this process. Fingers crossed we find an agent. It's been 4 weeks. We are still querying. And yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I am going to move on to new projects. I've got something I want to work on that I'm excited about. That today, reading about Christina Rossetti, there's a little glimmer in there of inspiration for something with the next story. And I'm going to focus on the fact that I have a lot of travel coming up and I'm very excited. We're going to go to New Zealand. We're going to go to a few different places. And the rest of the year will be very busy, but very fun. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'm holding on to it because I truthfully am very stressed about querying. Thank you guys so incredibly much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed spending this day with me. And also an enormous thank you to everyone over on Patreon for supporting my channel. We have a whole bunch of bonus content over there. I just uploaded a video where I talked about editing Project Teacup. I gave some examples, some very vague ones, but still some examples of draft 1 compared to draft 4 and how I edited it. We've got our book club, we've got our Discord server, a whole bunch of bonus content. So if you want more videos from me, or if you want to support my channel, please feel free to jump over to Patreon. Take care everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.